Well, hello and welcome to the stream. Let's go ahead and see what we can get into. We'll do a little bit of this Art Bell. This is Frankovich, and this is Alien Encounters 127 of 1998.
It's not like everything lit up, but well, let's say this: in a light with in a room with no light, except straight light coming into perhaps even an adjacent room from a street light.
Oh yes.
Outside.
Yes.
I could read a book.
You could read a book.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is serious. Any other serious medical effects of any sort? Implantation? Any of the normal things one would expect with an abruption?
I have questions about implantations. I'm not sure. I've thought perhaps maybe I have. I'm not sure on that. I have had one other strange. Well, I've had several, but one of the most interesting ones I think was about my second year of college. I had a dream one day in college, and one of them that I kind of knew in college, and it was a mix of both fact and fiction.
Kind of like the abduction in Lake County.
I suppose
That video. Yeah.
I don't know much about that, but in this dream, I was told that there was a little white man, about 3 foot tall, but he was sort of human. I couldn't quite ever focus on him completely. Of all things, wearing a referee suit.
Oh, what?
A referee suit, like
NFL referees?
Yeah. I don't know why. And he was telling me that they were going to do something to me, and I was going to be able to sleep only like 2 to 4 hours a day, and be able to function quite well on that.
And has that occurred?
It did occur, and that also was temporary, but it did occur. And I had a dream of seeing graves, like we're sort of shown this, just seeing graves and various things at work and such, and they would fall asleep. The drawback was that I wouldn't be able to control sometimes when I slept.
That is remarkable. So you would suddenly just be gone.
Yeah, sometimes in the middle of class or something, no matter how long.
All right, has all of this now gone away? Has it been now years since you've been abducted?
Oh, it changes. There were several stages where there would actually be abductions. When I was like, 4 or 5, I mentioned, it happened a bit. And then again, around puberty, there were a lot of abductions. And then they died down.
Any sexual experiments?
Oh, yeah.
You think you've got some a little yes, running around?
They told me I have, but I've never seen it. And I don't know if I believe them.
What a violation, though.
Yeah.
What a violation. Well, indeed, a frightening story, and I hope you'll keep us updated in case there is more.
Can I mention one other thing?
Of course.
I tried to get in yesterday because I thought you were a guest last night and brought up an interesting point.
In Mars, yes.
Yes, right. Something that he said that I feel very strongly about. A lot of the people that I think have come forward with abduction stories, abduction accounts, are the people who have been most distraught. The people who are most adversely affected by anything, of course, the people who are going to...
Well, people who would need help the most, of course.
That's right. Makes sense. While I have had, it is a fearful thing. There's very uncomfortable issues involved, but the overall feeling is a very healthy one, at least for me.
Well, more power to you, and please, as I said, keep us informed. Take care. Can you imagine that? Little guys running around just because he entered his, no doubt, sexual peak why he was robbed. Now he has little duplicates of himself running about. For Valentine's Day, why not give your sweetheart the moment? Area code 702-727. 1222, and we'll really get back to that after the interview at the top of the hour. And Katie Frankovich is going to be quite an interview indeed. Just wait till you hear her story. Buster Rockies, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Art. Hi. I actually got you a fax for last night, wondering if you got it.
Now, consider that a question.
Consider that what?
Right. Consider that question. I get hundreds of faxes, and I don't know what yours was about or who you are. So how can I answer that?
Yeah, understandably. I guess I should have been more specific. I'm calling from Canada. With regard to a lady that is a U.S. citizen, she told me about an incident when she was a young lady with respect to her father being handed a piece of Roswell leftovers.
Roswell wreckage?
Yes.
As you know, I am in possession of Roswell wreckage myself and have been for about, 2 years now.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes. Because I have quite a substantial collection of Roswell stuff.
All right.
At any rate, you heard about this American citizen who received some.
Yeah, it was quite some time ago. He's in the 60s now. Belonging to a well-known family for the sake of her privacy. I wouldn't want to mention it on the air, but she does claim that as far as she's concerned, this piece of the artist still exists within the walls of the family estate. And I just thought that I should give you a call and relay it.
Well, is it the much touted foil that we've all seen that unfolds and cannot be cut nor torched nor broken in any way?
Yes, sir. That's what you need.
Why would I like to get my hands on some of that?
Okay.
You have contact with this person?
Yeah, she was a short distance from you in Canada. I don't want to give you geographic the way that he supposedly exists. Albeit, I don't 100% believe for the simple reason that, proof is in itself. But nonetheless, I would be more than willing to give you whatever information.
Well, I have I have the facilities to test something like that. Take it to the larger national labs and have them look at it. And I would do exactly that. So,
what I was going to suggest through my offer of information is that in order to gain some validity to this woman's story is to necessarily check out her background of her American history. Because if she does belong to the family that she claims she does, her father was a major physicist.
well, there are people, though, that run away to Canada for reasons, for example, during the Vietnam War, a lot of people took off to your country.
Yes, I've met a few. We find them in amongst all our little islands here.
I'm sure you do.
The country itself.
All right, my friend, I appreciate the call, thank you, and by all means, I'll try and have her send me a sample. On the other hand, if it is indestructible, if it is one piece, then I have absolutely no idea how they would split it up and get me a little hunk. I sure would like some of that aluminum foil, though. Correction, not aluminum foil, but not even necessarily aluminum, but something that looked like aluminum that could not be destroyed and would automatically refold into a smooth rendition of itself. On our international line, you're on the air. Good morning.
Mark, this is Norm from Sacramento. I'm calling from Kyoto, Japan.
Kyoto, Japan.
Yes, sir. I called you last week from Singapore.
I recall. Well, how's everything in... I guess you were living like a king in Singapore, huh?
Well, not here in Kyoto.
I know.
Quite expensive.
Yes, it's quite a shock to your system, I'm sure.
Yes, I left Bangkok. It was 93 degrees. I got here. It was freezing.
Freezing in Kyoto.
Yes.
Gee, what a shock to the system. Freezing, and it's costing you a fortune.
Yes, it is. I just wanted to say hello, and I missed your show like always. And just want to put a plug in for Crane Company. I listen to my Sanjean 303 every night.
Oh, do you really?
Yes.
Oh, great. What do you hear? I imagine you're hearing a lot of Chinese.
Oh, I hear a lot of things that I can't understand, but I also hear Radio Amsterdam, Radio Paris, BBC, of course, Voice of America.
Anything yet from the west coast of America, standard broadcast?
Yes, I heard some AM 810 yesterday in the morning from when I was near Tokyo.
Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. All right, my friend, thank you. And what is the next stop for you?
Next stop is Los Angeles. That'll be Saturday.
I imagine you'll get down and kiss the ground after Kyoto.
Well, it'd be great to have some good American food and some good American prices after this.
Yeah, where the dollar is still a dollar. Thank you, my friend. Take care. Take care. So there you have it. Yes, Field. Quite a shock to the system. I mean, when I was there, the exchange rate was about 85 yen to the dollar, 86, I think. And I recall getting, I think, two Cokes and 2 beers at the airport in Tokyo. And I believe the bill was $38. So it's roughly a go. Wild Card Line, you're on the air. Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you kill it radio? Kill it. You answer the phone right away. We don't. I know. I just helped with that. Jason in San Diego. Yes, sir. Thanks a lot. Talking about alien abductions, I want to bring up a good name. Steve Neal is an artist. I don't know if you've ever had him on your show or not. What kind of artist? Well, there's alien abduction renderings, and he's done like famous artwork with like Ghostbuster movies and alien shows. He's like a really well-known artist. There's a website called Dreamland FX. I thought you know him. I've heard the name. Sightings and all that stuff. So right. Well, I've been talking to him through email, and it's interesting the stories that, I say that like these people that really do study this stuff and have actually had these experiences, it's really an X-Files life. People living in the bushes and looking at them at night. Yeah, I think there are people who actually live that way. They really do. They live roughly an X-Files life. People visiting them, medical experiments performed on them. Children running around on the result of sexual experiments. Yeah. Well, last days, they have internet a lot. I was on this website called the Mars Earth Connection. Yes. Talking about, the re-imaging of Satania. Oh, yeah. And it said that the imaging opportunity is going to be, and I'm only quoting Mark Carlo's paper from his website, saying that the Mars Global Surveyor should have an imaging opportunity in early March. I believe that's right. Van Flandren, who is in charge of all of this, is running around saying that, as far as he is concerned, the odds are tremendous. But what is that? Cydonia is, in fact, not natural. And here we have NASA eliminating, saying we're not going off planet with men anymore. We're not going to the moon. We're not going back to Mars. They have absolutely stopped all funding. Does this make sense to you? I hadn't heard that, but that's interesting. I know I've got it right here from the Gannett News Service. NASA plans to eliminate moon and Mars projects. Well, you know what? How about this for a turn? Maybe something's going to happen, but they're not talking. Maybe it's already happened. Like something smacking us, like maybe a fragment from the bomb that's still coming. One of those weird theories that they're not talking about, Well, yeah, but it would make more sense for us to be going outbound if that was true, to stop anything like that. Not to shut everything down. I think that's very suspicious. Yeah, they're not going to, if something's going to come from the Earth, they're not going to warn us. They want us to have 10 days to live, have fun. No, they wouldn't do that. No question about that. They wouldn't do that. They would not warn us. I've always known that. I can listen to the news of objects that have come close to the planet. We hear about them as they have passed. Earth had a close call yesterday or the day before. Always ask the one that gets you, the one that comes straight on. Of course, you're not going to see. On my abduction line, you are on the air. Hello? Hello. Yes. My name is Pete. I'm calling from Western New York. Hello, Pete. How you doing today? I'm fine. I had an encounter. I'm not sure what happened after I had the encounter. Well, when did this occur? Back roughly 1976. 76? A long time ago? Yes, sir. It was in a place we were up above Marshburg, Pennsylvania. There with my brother and my cousin. And we had gone into the back up near Kinzu Dam in that area. I don't know the area, but near a dam, yeah. Yeah, it's like a big wildlife, it's a big state park outside Allegheny State Park. It's pretty big. And what had happened was we went hiking back into where the Forest Rangers area was, and there's a place back there called Calcium's Rock. So on a Sunday night,
And it was approximately just before dusk, the sun was just starting to set, and we were sitting there, and we had a few beers. And the reason why I didn't think much of anything until over the last few years as I got older. Okay, I'm 40 now. This happened when I was 16. Right. Okay. What had happened was we were all sitting there, and we had the fire going, and we were talking, whatever you do when you're camping out like that, and all of a sudden we looked up, and it was pretty decent night out, and the sun hadn't quite gone down, but this thing, it was like huge. It looked like a domino, a giant domino.
All right, I can picture that.
Okay, it was pretty big, and it looked like a big domino, and we watched it, and we started getting scared. We didn't know what it was. And as it started to hover over the treetops, we started to run. And from where we were, the main road was like a good mile and a half. And we started running. And this was a Sunday. I was standing in my grandmother's kitchen. Okay? Listen,
I think you've got your radio on. That makes it really hard. Turn off your radio.
Turn it off all the way on. Okay? I'm standing, this is like on a Thursday, I'm standing in my grandmother's kitchen, and I started to realize she's standing there talking to me and going, "You've been a zombie for 4 days. What in the world is wrong with you?"
In other words, you were actually physically present, but catatonic.
Yeah, I don't remember anything from the time we started running until then.
It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, where,
I don't know about the Wizard.
well, you joined me was lying on that catatonic after hitting your head for days. And virtually was not there, was somewhere else, remember?
Yeah, okay. Well, anyhow, what had happened was, we're standing there, my grandmother's going off. I mean, you've been walking around this house for 3 days. You're not talking to nobody. What's going on with you? Da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, when you come home the other night at 6 in the morning, you left your brother and your cousin somewhere up there. They couldn't find you. When you come home covered like a silicone, from what my uncle told me, it was a silicone oil. Ooh. Yeah, and
Like being slime.
Yeah, it was something like that, I guess. I don't remember any of that because I wasn't remembering anything. I just know that she said she took it, she had to strip me down, chop me down. Now the weird thing about it was, a couple days later, I started to get a little pain in my chest. Okay. And I've got, and I've still got, so it's the first time I've ever told anybody the story. I told my wife a little bit about it because I really believe it's, things are going to happen here.
Yes.
With these sightings that they've been having.
Right, now we don't have a lot of time here. You had a pain in your chest.
Okay, I had a pain in my chest. So when I looked at it in the mirror, the actual imagery, it looks like almost like a full-size baby. But it's not a baby.
No, I understand.
Okay,
and when obviously.
Right, and when I talked to my brother about this, he said the night we were running out of the woods and we saw the object coming down, he said they couldn't find me for 2 hours. They don't know where I was. They found me 3 miles up the road, standing on the side of the road with all this stuff on me.
This is a Travis Walton story. The alien golden BB. All right, listen, I can't hold you. Can you call me back a little later? I'm giving you special dispensation, all right? Okay. All right, we'll look forward to getting the rest of that story. Katie Frankovich, next on Bart Bell.
That was one point. The other point is that I have been in the film industry. My expertise was wildlife. I have worked with very big names and I have very good credentials behind me. I had never delved into the subject of UFOs or aliens. I really knew very little about them when I had these encounters. And
you haven't seen a lot of programs, read a lot of books.
No. I mean, growing up, I watched the Twilight Zone and Star Trek and whatever, but...
Normal exposure.
Right. I had never really delved into the subject. I had heard of the famous Eddie and Barney Hill story. I remember when that broke. But other than that, I really did not have much knowledge about this subject.
All right, but in your own words, when and how did it begin?
It began very unexpectedly. I live in an apartment complex right on Lime Grove. On West Grove, the huge electrical cables running all the way down to the Florida Keys ran for miles and miles and miles. And this grove also faced the back of Metro Zoo. It's right near Country Block off 152nd Street.
Okay.
I had spotted this apartment because it was fairly isolated and I wanted to move back there. I had mentioned it to several of my neighbors. And each time I did, I was always warned, don't go in the grove. Strange things happen there. Well, I didn't really give that much thought. And then quite unexpectedly, the apartment opened up and I moved back there. I noticed the day that I moved in, scrawled on the front door facing the grove, was an inscription which read, "May God protect us." I didn't give that much thought. I thought, well, perhaps somebody religious was living back here.
Sure.
I had 4 large dogs, all trained attack dogs. I had trained each one of them. And I used to run them through the grove, barely. I never saw anyone in the grove besides myself. It was a deserted grove.
They grew lime there?
Lime. There were lime trees. Now, lime trees don't grow to be very big, especially when they're not cared for.
Yeah, they're bushy, I think, but not big.
Right, when they start dying back, they get very little, very skeletal look, and not many leaves at all.
So kind of an eerie atmosphere, really.
Absolutely. And it was very isolated, very secluded. The grass grew to about 2 or 3 feet high. The dogs loved it. They could run for miles and miles. And it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. On this particular afternoon, I had already walked 2 of them. It was getting towards sunset. And I went back and got the 2 most aggressive ones of the pack. They were both males, both weighing approximately 100 pounds. Put them both on leashes, walked into the grove, and I walked through a clearing so that I could get to the other side of the grove, which meant that I was bordered by wood from the back property of Metro Zoo and this very thick grove which nobody could see us.
Yes, along with 200 pounds of dogs.
200 pounds of aggressive, attached dogs who did not hesitate to bark at the slightest noise.
Sure.
Very protective.
Very territorial.
Right. Now, I want to stress before I go any further because my reactions to this may seem very different than what you would expect from an average person. And I want to reiterate that I spent many years in the field observing wild and dangerous animals up close, right in there with the cinematographers. So observing animal behavior comes very naturally to me. It's my instinct. Even if I fear the animal, I will instinctively want to watch the behavior.
Sure.
Okay. As I walked through this clearing, I turned left, which we would have been heading towards Southwest 152nd Street. And that was probably a mile down the road from where we were. I heard what sounded like someone tapping huge branches with an axe, breaking them.
Yes.
And it sounded as if it were right on top of me, which was very startling because, as I said, I never saw anyone in the grove. I stopped and I realized that neither one of the dogs were behaving correctly.
What were they doing?
They totally ignored the sound. There was no indication that anyone was around. I was very quiet, they stood quietly, and again, I heard this chop, and it was right on top of me, so I turned, and I looked through 3 rows of trees. Now, if you've ever been in a grove, there's a row of trees, and there's about 10 feet where they can mow the grass, and there's another row of trees.
Sure, makes sense.
So you can figure I was standing approximately 30 feet away.
Yes.
The trees were dying, and there was not much foliage to look through. When I turned and looked directly in front of me, 3 rows over, I got the shock of my life. I had never, ever seen anything like this. The dog also had turned with me. And their reaction, even though they were looking directly at it, was to lie down on the ground, put their heads down, and go to sleep.
And go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
What were you seeing?
I saw, when I initially looked at this, it was very shocking. So you have to remember, half of my brain is working logically, and the other half is saying this is someone playing a Halloween trick.
Suspending belief, sir.
Right. I had nothing to identify this with. Nothing. This being stood, I would say, about 4 feet 9 inches tall. I'm 5'3", and it was smaller than I am. The thing that initially struck me was the head, because I was looking at that level. The head was an odd shape. The circumference area around the temporal and occipital lobe was much larger in proportion to what I did. And it came down...
Indicating a larger brain.
Cranial area,
sure.
No. It came down almost into a nondescript chin. The eyes were the huge, black, brown, almond eyes, no eyelids, no white, no pupils that I could distinguish at all. The skin tone was what I would call a grayish color with just a pinkish hue to it. It wasn't really a nose, it was more like keen, tiny nostrils, and beneath that was a very small mouth. The lips were not well defined at all. I would say the mouth was probably half the size of ours.
Right, this sounds like the typical gray. For example, that scene by Whitley Strieber and others. I'm sure, I would hope now, after all this time, you've seen photographs of that which Whitley Strieber says he saw. And that's almost what you're describing.
Yes, yes. It's very much like that.
Standing there.
And coming down the torso, because that was my natural instinct to look at the entire torso.
Of course.
Coming down, the upper part of the torso did not match the bottom part. It looked like 2 different eating sort of bags. It was that obviously different. The upper part, there was no muscle tone in the arms. They were long and looked thin. Almost emaciated looking.
Mm-hmm.
Came down to a hand which had 6 digits on it.
6 fingers.
6 digits.
Would you call them fingers or?
Fingers, yes. Well, I would say 5 fingers and 1 thumb. The hand looked very much like the hand of an orangutan. Do you know how the long fingers are?
Of course, yes. Of course.
Okay, what fascinated me immediately was in your apes and your primates, the thumb is located in a different position than the human.
Yes.
This thumb, however, was in exactly the correct position as the human hand, even though there were a total of 6 digits on the hand. The thumb was placed exactly where ours is.
An obvious question is, did you see the alien autopsy?
Yes, I did. I saw it afterward, a couple of years afterward. And when I get through describing this to you, I will take you back for that because that was quite a shock for me also.
Sure it was.
Going back to what the body looked like, the abdomen was small. In other words, the shoulders were not big or broad shoulders. It was a sort of an emaciated looking body, a very small kind of pot belly. But then once you came down into the legs, an amazing thing happened. The thighs and the calves were overly developed. These were the legs of an athlete. I mean, the muscles were bulging. Came down into the foot, and the foot looked too small to be attached to those legs. And yet the upper part of the torso didn't match those legs at all. Because the upper part of the torso was, like I said, very, very fragile looking, very emaciated looking.
Right, I think I can imagine all this.
It was as shocked as I was. We had a stare down for quite a while. Neither one of us moved. And during this time, what was going through my mind was, one part would say, you're looking at a strange creature, and the other half of my mind would say, no, this is someone playing a Halloween joke on me. It was back and forth, because there's nothing to identify this with.
Was the creature simply standing there with sort of a shocked look on its face?
I can't say that there was an expression. It was not blinking. It was just staring directly at me, and I was staring directly back at him. I'm sure I wasn't blinking either. There were no eyelids. It was a straight stare. And I would like to say one other thing here, too, because I did have two encounters. On this first encounter, the eyes looked very intimidating to me. However, when I had the second encounter, and I had gotten over my fears of being close to them, I saw these face in a totally different perspective, and it hit me on the second encounter. My God, this face is beautiful. But on this first encounter, where I had never seen anything like this, the eyes looked intimidating because, as I said, they were not blinking. It looked like a cold, red stare to me.
You said your dogs just lay down, put their little heads in their paws.
Sound asleep. Wonderful, wonderful attack dogs. Sound asleep.
Was there any effect that you could document on you? In other words, that's an obvious calming, tranquilizing kind of effect on your dogs. What about you?
No, not on me. I was too busy trying to identify what I was looking at. And it was very shocking. Very shocking. After we stared at each other for quite a while, and for some reason, when I looked at this, I felt what I was looking at was a male. So I'm going to refer to it as he rather than it.
No obvious.
No, nothing. He did have clothes on though.
Okay.
Very strange looking clothes. If you think of a tight t-shirt,
right.
Tight fitting t-shirt,
sure,
but not made out of cloth. It was clean, like you think of these aerobic pants, but not cloth. It seemed to be a metallic metal substance. I don't know how to describe this, a material metal substance that clung to his body, like clothes do.
And almost unbonding like a wetsuit.
Yes. The top shirt, like I said, it was a t-shirt kind of thing, no buttons, no zippers, nothing. That was a white silvery look. The bottom, if you think of spandex, then spandex, Bermuda shorts,
sure.
Is clean.
Sure. And there was nothing in the shape of the body that obviously identifying this as a male.
No.
It was just a sense you had.
Right. Just looking at his face, staring at it struck me that I was looking at a male.
A male of some kind. All right, Katie, hold on. It is Katie Frankovich in Florida. And you're hearing about an encounter, quite well documented as a matter of fact, and never told before. 4-9, obviously a gray. This is Coast to Coast AM. And so here was Katie Frankovich facing this, what appeared to be a male creature about 4 feet 9 inches tall. A typical gray in the middle of a lime grove her two 100-pound attack dogs lie down, put their heads down on their paws, and sort of go into a dog catatonic state. And so that's where we'll pick it up. And here you are staring at this incredible creature, Katie, observing it as you would, I guess, a wild animal.
Yes.
What did it do?
I just wanted to add one more thing to the description. One thing that fascinated me was the skin. It appeared to be non-porous, had almost a plastic look to it. If you think of the underbelly of a snake, not scales, but it has a very shiny look to it.
I haven't turned too many of them over. So.
The belly has a very shiny look to it. It's a non-porous skin.
Okay.
And this skin had that kind of look to it. It was not a porous skin like ours at all. And I did also want to add that it did have a type of shoe on. Again, it was made out of this metallic substance. It was black, there were no buckles, there were no laces. In fact, I wondered how it got these on.
The whole thing sounds artificial.
In what sense?
Well, you said non-porous skin, not like our skin. Artificial in the sense that, as in a manufactured or constructed a half biological being or something. A lot of people have said that of the Greys, that they almost look manufactured.
Okay, I can add a comment to that. I can understand that comment. If you look at a snake, an indigo snake, they also look manufactured because they are so shiny, so smooth. It doesn't look real. And if you stop yourself while you're trying to touch one, part of the hesitancy is that, is it real? And if it wiggles, I'm gonna scream. And it's because it has that manufactured look to it.
Exactly.
And yes, this creature does have that type of look to it, on top of which there is nothing that we have to identify this with mentally. I mean, if I had seen a snake, even though I had not seen that species before, I could have said, oh, this is a snake.
No point of reference.
Right, no point of reference whatsoever. So this is what you're fighting mentally. The whole time you are in the presence of them. You are fighting something that you have never, ever seen, you cannot identify, and you have no point of reference. When we stared at each other for several minutes, he moved his head slightly, not his body, just his head, leaned it over so that it was behind the tree. You could see his whole body, just not the head.
Understood.
At that time, when he did that, something caught my eye, my peripheral vision. I caught the glimpse of something moving. And I looked to the tree next to him. In that tree, there was the strangest creature I have ever seen in all my life. Now, the creature's head was not turned towards me. The creature's head was away from me in the opposite direction. So I could not see it. I could only see the body.
Right.
My first thought, and this is when I really became aware of thinking thoughts. My first thought was, that's a possum. And then I stood there staring at it, and I said, no, this is not a possum. This fur is too long. This fur is too fine, and this fur is way too thick. And the body is all wrong for a possum. It was a very full body. It moved slowly. You would think of a sloth moving, a very slow movement.
Yes.
Hanging in the tree. My thought was, oh, then this must be a raccoon. And now it's followed with my thinking it out. No, this is not a raccoon. This is the wrong color of a raccoon. This is the wrong fur of a raccoon. And this is the wrong body shape. Besides, raccoons don't move like this.
About the same size, though, as one?
I would say the abdomen area was much larger and it was longer. It was, it appeared to be kind of rolled, hanging on. It appeared like it was hanging on to the branch, and in doing that, the body was kind of rolled. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I certainly do.
like it was hanging, but it was moving. It was moving. It was a definite blue-gray, almost a charcoal gray color. I would say the fur was a good 3 inches to 4 inches long. Very shiny looking fur, very healthy looking, very, very thick. Very thick. I can remember standing there and thinking, move your head so I can see you. I wanted to see the head very badly.
Right.
I didn't see any head tail, and I could not see any paws. I was looking for paws. I could not see them because the body blocked it. And that, while I was standing there observing this, something very strange happened next, and I want to reiterate to everybody that it is my instinct to stand there and observe. It would not have been my reaction to leave under any circumstance.
Would have been mine. Get out of there quick.
Well, it wasn't mine.
All right, so you stood there and...
I had no thought of it, no conscious thought whatsoever. The next thing I found myself doing was tugging both leashes. The dog stood up immediately, and I turned and kept on walking as if nothing had occurred. And when I took about 15 steps away from this place, I stopped dead cold in my tracks. In fact, I said out loud, I told you this on this program, I said, what the hell was I looking at?
You can say that.
Thank you. At that point, I touched both leashes and I ran back as fast as I could with the dogs. And they were very excited because they were running.
Right.
Now, it was my intention when I got back there to sit down on the ground. Because if you're familiar with observing wildlife, this is an action which is not aggressive.
Right, you want to be still and...
Right, and if you think of this from the alien's point of view, I had to look very intimidating. Here I had these 2 huge black dogs with me. I'm bigger than it is, and I want to come back for more. So I rationalized very quickly the best thing to do was to go back, if he was there, sit down on the ground.
All right, and the dogs?
Well, that was what I was going to do. I figured they would lay down with me.
Right.
When I got back to the site, he wasn't there.
Gone.
Now, I thought to myself, now, it couldn't have gone very far. And I watched the dogs, because I knew they would be the key here to where it was.
At this point, you could have set them loose.
Yes, but I didn't want to. I wanted them with me. I'm no fool.
Right.
Even though they're sleeping, the pack dogs, I'm still no fool. They both sat down immediately, lay down on the ground, put their heads down. So I knew I was on top of it. I knew it was right there. Yeah, I was just very quiet, and suddenly it stepped out from behind a tree. Now, the creature was also gone. But this time when this being stepped out from behind the tree, he had a bag in his arm. If you think of like a burlap bag,
sure.
It was made out of this metallic substance, this white, shiny metal substance. It had a tie on it like a rope. And I knew this creature was in it because it was big, it was the size of what the creature would have been, and he was holding it.
Oh, yes.
I had a very clear shot at those 6 digits holding that bag. Very, very good visual point of view. He began to run. And it was the most incredible thing I have ever seen in all my life.
I recall you saying the thighs were very muscled, the legs
were
very muscled.
The thighs and the calves were overly developed, even more so than what you would think of an Olympic athlete runner. The muscles actually bulged. When he began to run, he ran like a gazelle. Do you know what a Thompson gazelle is?
I do.
They're in Africa, and when they run, they actually touch the ground and sprint up in the air, several feet, and come down.
Almost like they're defying gravity.
Exactly. That was another thing that I had noticed when there was movement I noticed when he moved his arms, when we move our arms, we push our arms through the air.
That's right.
When he moved, it was more as if he was gliding through the air. You can get a better handle on this if you think of pictures that you've seen of the astronauts in the spaceships that are floating around.
Sure.
They're not really moving their bodies through the air, they're floating them through the air.
That's right.
And that's how this creature appeared to move, even though he had more control over his body than what you think our astronauts in space do. As I said, he began to run, and when he would touch the ground and sprint up, I would say it was a good 4 feet up in the air, he would go very easily, come down, just touch the ground and right back up again. I ran parallel to him. In other words, he's running down this row, this grassy area between the rows of trees, and I'm running parallel to him. I never took my eyes off of him. It's a good thing that when the telephone calls in the groves, because I would have crashed right into them. I could not take my eyes off of him. I had never seen anything like this in my life.
Naturally, no camera.
No camera. The rope, the tie to his bag, was at one point came over his shoulder. You know, as if you were running, it would fly over your shoulder.
Certainly.
Yeah. He could have easily outrun the art, easily. But he stayed parallel to me. We ran neck to neck, and I would say for a distance that was good. What do you figure 6 city blocks? I mean, we ran neck to neck. Yards, 25 to 50 yards. When the lime trees, these dying lime trees, had fallen over on the ground,
Yes.
there was absolutely nothing obstructing my view of him. And we ran that distance neck to neck, my eyes flew to him the whole time. At the end of this clearing, the lime trees began again. And in Florida, we have these vines that grow in the wild, and they will quickly cover a tree, an entire tree, and then reach over and start covering other trees and plants. There was an area of these vines growing, and they had grown so thick that it actually formed like a tunnel between 2 rows of these dying trees.
Right.
Now I could see this tunnel coming up in my peripheral vision as we were running. He darted right into that. The moment he reached that tunnel, I literally ran into a wall of stench. The smell was a combination of 2 smells. It was a combination of sulfuric acid and formaldehyde. And it was so pungent that it did burn the inside lining of my nose. It was like someone broke open smelling salts and put them underneath my nose suddenly. I mean, it was unbelievable. The moment I hit that wall of stench, it literally knocked me to my senses.
I would think your dogs would have reacted to that too.
I don't have any memory of that. I know that they were running right with me. I wasn't looking at how they were reacting. When I hit that smell, just remember, I was aimed and going right for that tunnel right behind him. I mean, I was gonna run with this creature. When I hit that wall, it knocked me to my senses.
Right.
Literally knocked me, and I said, my God, what am I doing? I knew, but I can't tell you how I knew, but I did know there were others like him very near. I knew I was outnumbered. I had also realized that I was in a grove, a very isolated area. It was just starting to get dark. No one could have heard me. No one knew where I was. And it was like, you idiot, what are you doing? It was that moment of truth. I literally turned while I was running and ran the opposite direction. I must have run a good 1.5 miles through that grove.
Now you're cooking. That's what I would have done.
Right, I'm cooking, boy. I'm learning as fast as I can. I ran all the way up to the road, crawled underneath the barbed wire fence, and then walked, I would say, about a half a mile to my apartment. Well, people often say they would love to have an encounter like this, and it's true, but you fight a lot of things. But at this point, I was fighting myself. I knew what I had seen. I had had a lot of time to observe this creature. Um, there were a lot of different things working in this encounter, the smell, the stench, the fact that there were two creatures, not one.
And you reported this at that time to nobody.
No, I walked in, I can remember I walked in the apartment, my heart is racing, my adrenaline is pumping, and it's like, who are you gonna call? Are those doctors?
Right.
You can't call the police. Uh, you can't very well pick up the phone and say, hi mom, I gotta tell you something.
No.
And yet it is the most phenomenal thing that has just happened. I paced around the apartment for a few minutes and I have a friend that I had met several years before. Her name is Linda. And I remember that at one point, Linda had told me, this was many years ago, she and her husband had been driving late one night, in a region not too far from Gulf Breeze. They spotted a UFO, which came directly over their car. Their car stopped. They were paralyzed with fear. A beam of light came down, and then there is something like 3.5 to 4 hours in the drive. I remember that she had told me this in confidence. At the time, I was fascinated with it, but it never went any further than that. So she was the person I called.
Somebody who would at least understand.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly, because I knew I was in shock. I knew what I had seen was accurate. I sure didn't want to go years of credibility as a wildlife writer.
Yeah.
So I called this individual, and we were on the phone for quite a while that night, going over it and over it, and she had no problem whatsoever believing it.
Have you had any artists do a rendition? I mean, you are so descriptive about the creature, both the creatures, that it seems to me you could sit down with an artist and come up with a rendition of what you saw.
There are two sketches that I did in unknown magazines. This magazine that is coming out today in Sam. I did them both. One is of his name alone, and I looked at him right away, and the second one is the being with the creature. I accidentally forgot to tell you one other thing that occurred while we were running down this road together. While we were running, I distinctively heard over and over and over again, patriotically, and it was said as one word, Grande Grande. Now, I am not Spanish, I'm not Italian, I don't speak any other languages but English. I understood that that word meant, welcome, come hither. It was like, come on. Like I said, I can't verify what language it is, or I don't speak any other languages besides the English language.
Well, we've got a lot of people out there who do.
Yes, guys.
I want to hold you over for a few moments at the top of the hour.
There was a second encounter. I don't know if you want to get into this or not.
Briefly, if you would.
Okay, last night, we asked them directly afterward, very briefly, the next morning I was up at the crack of dawn, and I had all four of my dogs in that road. Went back to his body, so he had to find his head had broken off the tree. They went on our ground. I traced the whole journey, but I could not enter that tunnel. The smell was gone, everything was fine. Shortly afterwards, I can't tell you exactly how long it was. I would say it was within a period of a couple of weeks. Couldn't even think I was there. I was sitting one night on the couch, and it was between 11 o'clock and 11:30 because I had to be gone. and the television turned down, the windows open. The house was about 10 feet away from the front window. The only light on in the apartment was the television, and I was on the phone talking to my friend Linda. Outside of my front window, the window was open. There was a lamp on the lawn that stood up about 4 feet tall and just split up the top area. While I was talking to Linda on the phone, I heard that, and a very strange thing began happening. It appeared to be that the mixed green hue or a cloud filling the apartment up towards the ceiling. Was coming down the wall, and as I was talking to Linda, I said to her, "You're not going to believe what's going on here, but I'm going to describe it to you what I'm seeing." It got fairly big. I mean, it was definitely mid-grade, and it was hovering across the entire ceiling of the living room. The 4 dogs were sleeping on the floor. They were wonderful cat dogs. And out of the corner of my eye, I caught movement over the window. And I looked over, and now I could only see from the chest up. It's not a door-like window. This is a regular window.
Right.
Obviously, sitting on the porch was one of them. Leaned over and looked in the window, and then that was separate right back in the window. There were actually 2 of them. One was smaller. For some reason, I identified the one looking in the window as being female. Her features or characteristics were the same as the one I had seen in the grove. It was very obvious from her face that she was female. The one behind her came up to probably where our shoulder blades would be in our back.
Right.
And I assumed that this was an adolescent. But for some reason, I perceived this adolescent as being male. He stood behind her. He was very timid, very timid. Once in a while, he would peek out from behind her and look at her. And remember, I am describing all of this to Linda on the phone as it is occurring.
Right.
I'm trying to keep my voice down, but I don't scare them. Linda was scared out of her wit. She wanted to call the police. I said, no, please don't move. I want this. I want to see them. The female standing at the window stood there staring at me curiously as she moved her head back and forth a few times. It was priceless. It was one of the most precious impressions I have in my memory. At one point, she took her hand and placed it on the screen, facing me. And there were the 6 digits.
6 digits.
With her fingers spread. When she did this, I said to Linda, she's got her hand on the screen, the 6 digits are up there. And I said, I don't want to scare her. So I'm going to raise my right hand slowly in the air like I'm extending it to touch hers. This I did, and I held it there. And she tilted her head, the one at the window, and looked at me very seriously. I knew instinctively she knew what I was doing. The little one behind her peeked around her, looked over at me. I held that position for maybe 20, 30 seconds.
Is there any question in your mind that you had an encounter?
No, not at all. In fact, the government agents did me a great favor when they tried to interrogate me because it reinforced this thing.
So you had government agents that came and visited you.
Absolutely.
Presented you with a card with the White House.
Yeah, it was a regular. Let me just finish this second encounter very quickly and go into the government. There's something here that I've always fascinated about this. While we had our hands up in the air, I repeated through telepathy very strong over and over again the word protector of life. And it was in English, protector of life. And I understood that this was how they regarded me. It was said over and over again. I understood that this would be like my name. You call me KT. This would be the way they identified me.
I understand.
I put my hand down and so did she. And after several moments, I observed her turn and not walk away. It was that hop. I could see her hop.
Right.
With a little one. And I said to Linda at this point, Linda, they just left. Hold on, I'm going outside. I want to see if they're still there. Because Linda's having a home oh my God, I can't stand it. But I did go outside. There was nothing. They were gone.
Not even any tracks.
No.
Right.
No. Well, you couldn't see it was at night.
All right. We're going to have to hurry here. How in the world, who came to see you and how did they know to come and see you?
They didn't come to the apartment. What happened was that I was like 2 days. I was in that grove young. And I went up and saw this black government car coming towards me, which startled me because I wasn't used to seeing people on the road. There were 2 men in the car. They were dressed in business. They pulled up right next to me because I had the dogs with me. And they rolled down the window, and the first question out of their mouth was, have you ever seen anything strange in this grove? And I said, no. I said, what do you mean strange? I saw a wild goose here one time. And they said, no. You would know what we meant. You would absolutely know what we meant. Now, they tried very hard to get me to tell them if I had ever seen anything. They asked my name, they took my phone number, they gave me their business card, and on this card, it had a telephone number. They took a beeper number on it and instructed me to call them any time of day or night. And in the right-hand corner of this card was a raised emblem of the White House, but that emblem was in gold. And then the White House was gold.
Right.
There wasn't anything on the card to indicate which branch of government they were from, but they did introduce themselves as government agents.
Well, it'd be gold embossing. So I'm not surprised the White House would be shown on a card like that to be gold.
They were, every time I went in the grove, they would drive up and greet me. My feeling was that I don't think they actually saw what occurred. I do think they knew something was there.
Something had happened.
Yes, I think that they figured I had probably seen something.
Obvious question, do you still have that card?
I had it. In fact, I had showed it to Linda and her son Bob, who was a retired policeman. I had even called the number to find out what would happen. The telephone was answered with just yes. I had it, I was saving it, and along came Andrew in August of 1992, and I lost everything but the clothes in my backyard.
Hurricane Andrew wiped you out.
Yes.
All right, I asked you this earlier. Let's return to this now. The alien autopsy. The autopsy of these creatures with 6 digits, and very much like you described, the torsos, even the thighs, the legs, the head. Is the creature you saw the creature we saw in the alien autopsy?
I remember seeing that film. That film happened a couple of years after this incident. I saw it up here in the Ocala National Forest. After I had played some oranges. It was the first time it was aired on television. I sat there and watched that film with my mouth open. I could not get my eyes off the picture. When it's the one I saw the leg. The only thing that I would say was different was I had remembered the arms as being more without muscle tone, more emaciated looking.
Right.
But something occurred to me. This was a dead body that I was looking at in the film.
Yes.
When you think of a dead body, there's more to it. And because you don't know the chemical makeup behind this body, you don't know whether there was bloating in that body or not. So that's a question that remains unanswered in my mind. Why were the arms different? That could be a possible answer. I don't know.
Well, your powers of observation are very acute indeed. And your story seems probably one of the most detailed I've ever heard. What I would love to have from you, if it's possible, is perhaps some of the drawings that you have done. Some artist rendition of all this that we might get up on the website for everybody to see. Would that be possible?
Absolutely. We can have the two pictures that are coming out in the magazine. And afterwards, there was a symbol that I began drawing. Of course, I have one painted right outside my door now. It's a wheel. It is very much like a peacock, but it's made of leaves, and all the leaves are attached joined to one another in the center. It's done in blue and green. And for some reason, I started painting that after these encounters, and I have never lived in a home without it outside my door. So I would be glad to even with that to you.
Absolutely remarkable, Katie. Do you have my address?
No, I don't.
Do you have a pencil?
Yes, I do.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
It is our spell, of course. Post office box.
Right.
4755.
4755.
In a little town called Pahrump. That's P as in Paul, A-H-R-U-M-P.
R-U-M-P.
Nevada.
Right.
Zip code 89041-4755. And we'll get this up for everybody to see.
I would like to just add one more thing, Art, because I'm very interested in this too. I do have an email address,
All right.
and I would like to give it to your listeners. I am very interested in particularly in others have had encounters like this.
Many have.
You can email me at K, the letter K, FRNKOVICH at AOL.com. That's KFRNKOVICH at AOL.com.
KFRNKOVICH
at AOL.com.
Well, you'll get lots of email, that's for sure.
I hope so.
And I'll look forward to getting the drawings, which will go up on the website right away. Katie, you have been a real joy to have on. I've never had anybody with such a wonderfully descriptive way about her.
Well, thank you very much. And I just wanted to say, Art, I'm very glad I was able to break the story on your show, done in a very professional manner, because it is very true and very real indeed.
Katie, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Good night. That's Katie Frankovich, and it is the most detailed, a careful description of an encounter with somebody, something from elsewhere that I think I've ever heard. That along with Travis Walton and Benny Barney Hill and others of the same ilk. Absolutely remarkable. Are you overweight? If so, we can arrange for you to lose some of that 8 to 10 pounds. This is a remarkable development. I was sent this Gannett News Service story by Richard Steelman, who we now have on the telephone from New Mexico, from KLB country in New Mexico, Albuquerque. And I cannot fathom in my wildest dreams how this could possibly be. Now, recall that Tom Van Flanderen, who has always been, what's the right word? I think very cautious in his pronouncements regarding Cydonia, who is responsible for much of the imaging that's coming up, is preparing America, preparing the world for the fact that the things at Cydonia, the artifacts at Cydonia, the things on Mars, is not a natural item. It seems like the very last time you would announce that you are not going to send men to Mars, and yet in the Gannett News Service article, it's very clear that we have decided suddenly at exactly this very strange time in our history to not leave the planet. It's almost as though we have been prohibited from leaving our planet's atmosphere, or at least certainly touching down on any other a body, the moon, Mars, whatever. Some sort of prime directive at work. I don't know, in reverse perhaps. Here is an Extreme Science Award winner, a one-time advisor to Walter Cronkite, Daddy, and NASA, Richard C. Oakland. Richard, welcome to the program here at the bottom of the hour.
Good morning. I will have, 30 seconds?
I've got not a lot of time, but I mean, first of all, just confirm for me this Gannett News Service article. Why in the world would we suddenly not leave planet Earth?
Well, look at the date, all right? This was Nevsky's letter, which is the acting associate administrator for spaceflight for NASA headquarters.
Right.
He sent this letter dated January 9th. What happened January 9th?
I don't know.
And I'll give you a clue. It has nothing to do with Monica, all right?
All right.
That's the date the prospector arrived at the moon.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Well, there's so much to get into. Obviously, all we can do in the next minute is just to tease. But, we are in charge here of a very wide, broad investigation, which began 15 years ago for me. I have some very good people in a wide variety of fields working on this, literally on several different continents now connected by the internet. And it ranges from the science to the politics to, everything in between.
Maybe we should be revisiting the whole Cydonia question. It's astounding that combat brethren would suddenly suggest that what is that Cydonia is, as you have always said, not natural. I mean, just astounding. Here we've got a spacecraft about to begin imaging.
Well, it's even more astounding because there was a secret meeting at NASA headquarters last November 24th, and that's why Tom is making these very bold pronouncements.
All right, hold on. You mentioned it at the top of this fact that you said, Richard, the sudden courage of Van Flandern with regard to what is at Cydonia. Where is it coming from?
Well, this is such a complex political situation. We have the State of the Union tonight. I have talked with David Oates a few minutes ago. I actually woke him up after you called me and wanted me to do something on this issue. And the very last statement that Clinton made at the end of the speech has a remarkable reference to NASA in the most amazing context. And as you obviously are aware, David is working on it tomorrow, and should probably have the entire speech done sometime the next day or so. And I would strongly recommend that we do something together on this, because it's looking more and more like we have two realities here. We have the reality that we're seeing on CNN and in the joint House Senate State of the Union address. And then we have the real reality behind the scenes that everybody in the know knows about, except us, the American people, who should know. And this release from NASA, which was run by Gannett today, based on a letter issued by the acting administrator of NASA for spaceflight on January 9th, is just another data point that the fix is in. The human race is effectively quarantined. And my model for what's going on is that we've had for many, many years, 30 years, we've had the in crowd, the people at NASA that do these secrets, and then everybody else who didn't. And how can you possibly have an agency where a tiny group of people know crucial things and the rest don't? The answer is control of information, control of data. If you control the data and you only give the 20 or 30,000 honest people pre-digested facts, the things that you want them to know,
right,
and keep all the good stuff, keep file cabinets and behind the double steel locked doors marked top secret for before reading, obviously you can go on with a charade for a long time. But what's happening now, because, and I really have to take credit here for Enterprise doing this, appearing in Ohio State, being invited and doing briefings at NASA centers, we have for the last, several years, since 1988, been invited in the NASA front door, 5 times officially.
Right.
And it wasn't just jump out of the cake and yell boo. I mean, these people wanted to know what we, as an independent investigation, have been finding out. Well, obviously, what's happening is that the honest guys began to suspect that they weren't getting the whole truth. So, of course, instead of leveling with the American people, what they have been doing quietly since '88 is building their own programs to go and verify what people like us, independent investigations, have been claiming. And in the last several years, under Dan Golden, we've had faster, better, cheaper, smarter, quicker, meaner. I mean, you're that whole thing, right? Right. And those missions have now been going places and sending back data to the honest crowd, the middle of the curve. And we've had several missions now that have, sent back some pretty amazing things. Pathfinder this past summer, we had several programs on your show dealing with what Pathfinder really has found versus what NASA claims officially has found. And on January 9th, this quick $63 million, from nowhere, sudden prospector mission to the moon, this unmanned mission, this half-box spacecraft, reached the moon on January 9th. Within hours of it reaching there, this letter is fired out to all centers, and I will quote it because it's pretty amazing. I am directing the centers effective immediately to issue termination notices for all contractual vehicles associated with beyond Earth orbit activities such as human, lunar, or Mars exploration.
That is a quarantine.
The 60 in. And the question now is only how does the American people get control not only of the space program, but control of its government?
All right, what what slot does that Landron actually fill with regards to the Mars mission? By the way,
I'm glad you brought that up because you misspoke a few minutes ago. Tom is not officially connected with NASA. Tom was the former head of the Celestial Mechanics Branch for the U.S. Naval Observatory. He participated in many important projects, most significant of which was the search for Planet X, planet beyond Pluto. And he was indirectly involved with the discovery of the moon, Charon, that orbits Pluto by Christie back in 1978. He has left the government. Tom runs a private research think tank called the Meta Research Foundation in Washington, D.C. Right. Tom has been doing independent studies as part of this loose confederation of scientists that have been looking at this data, for many years now, particularly in terms of Mars. And his claim to fame, as you know, because of the programs we have done, has been his independent model that we live in a solar system where there has been major structural change. Planets blown to kingdom come by immense vast forces in geologic time. And that Mars is in fact the moon. Not a planet in its own right, but the remnant moon that formerly orbited a gas giant planet that used to exist where Mars currently orbits.
yes.
And the elliptical nature of the Mars orbit is a remnant of the celestial mechanics of its primary going away and Mars being kind of left without a dance partner to sail around the sun. Tom has been extremely conservative. And given his government background, given his PhD, given his Yale, the history of education and all that, in terms of the Sidonia hypothesis, in terms of our work on Mars and on the moon. Up until this meeting a few days ago of the American Astronomical Association, where based on his own work and collaborations, and we had many conversations, he has suddenly been emboldened to basically stand in front of this prestigious group of astronomers, his colleagues, and declare that from his analysis, obviously building on the work of others, there is a more than 50-50 chance, probably 90-10, that the base on Mars and the surrounding things are artificial.
You must feel very vindicated.
Well, let's leave out the equation for a minute. Let me tell you what has emboldened Tom, and why, unfortunately, I think Dr. Van Flanderen's faith in NASA, as well as the other participants in the secret meeting I talked about at the bottom of the hour, has been woefully misplaced, as evidenced by this directive from Richard Wisniewski, acting associate administrator for spaceflight for NASA headquarters. Back in November 24th, there were 4 or 5 people that were invited to a very interesting secret meeting at NASA headquarters. The meeting was held with a gentleman named Carl Filter, who is the acting director of the Solar System Exploration Committee for NASA. This is a committee, high-level NASA committee, that basically runs all of spaceflight, looking at planetary studies all over the solar system. The near spacecraft going to Eros, the prospector mission that arrived at the moon, or the Pathfinder mission, etc. He took over from the previous head, who died in a very mysterious way last summer, just a couple of days after we had done a show on Pathfinder.
I recall that, yes.
Okay, Dr. Jurgen Ray. Carl Felker is a very well-known astronomer. He used to be at the University of Hawaii. He's written some pretty amazing papers on solar system studies. He's a first-rate scientist. And he apparently, at the behest of Stan McDaniel, Mark Carlotto, David Webb, and Vince DiCastro, was convinced to take a meeting with them, with a couple of members of his staff at headquarters on the afternoon of the 24th of November. I was conspicuously not invited to the meeting, so I want to put that right on the table, okay?
Sure.
During this meeting, from sources which have relayed this to us, and from things that have been published on the web from Carlotto and from Michael Regiment, apparently what Dr. Filker said was that he was extremely impressed with the work of McDaniel, Carlotto, and company, that this had lifted this whole subject far out of the realm of the tabloid representations that he had been familiar with, and made him and NASA realize that, oh my God, this is real science. And that, as a matter of course, they were going to take Dr. McDaniel's suggestion. Remember, Dr. McDaniel was the chairman of the Department of Philosophy at Sonoma State University. He wrote a voluminous review of our work and many of the other independent investigators back in 1992-93, and it was published within days of the disappearance of Mars Observer. And he has been basically on NASA's case ever since to do it right. So when the replacement spacecraft arrived, to publish orbits, to announce when the Sidonia opportunity would be basically available, to prioritize photographing Sidonia with Dr. Mallin's camera on this spacecraft at high resolution, 1 meter more or less, and to basically do science as opposed to ignoring the subject.
Yes, sir.
And Dr. Mallett, who is the principal investigator on the camera, has consistently, both publicly and on his website, which is linked to our website at enterprisemission.com, through your website at rsl.com,
Right.
and said that he's probably interested in Sidonia. It's all a trick of light and shadow. The base is not there. The galaxy's not there. It's not science. There's a bunch of us voodoo priests making weird noises in the dark, and he's doing science.
Yeah.
This meeting in November basically claimed to have repudiated Dr. Malin's position. Carl Filker said to these 4 or 5 people, we don't agree with Dr. Malin. We, in fact, intend to follow you, Dr. McDaniel's prescription, and we're going to take photographs of Sidonia on every opportunity. We're going to publicize this. We're going to put them on the web basically live, and we're going to do everything that you have wanted us to do. And of course, you can imagine he does jumping up and down.
Of course.
What was really surprising, given NASA's postponement of the official mapping mission for a full year. Remember, the spacecraft arrived last September 11th, when we did our Pasadena conference.
Aero break.
And with aero braking very nicely, and then something went wrong. And they had to slow down the aero braking dramatically because of this one solar panel that flexes dangerously past the limit.
And they actually said something about the Mars atmosphere having expanded.
In one orbit, a 145-hour orbit, it has double the depth of the end. This is kind of mysterious and to get in all kinds of reasons, but that's kind of technical, so we don't need to go there tonight. The point is that instead of arriving in the mapping orbit in March of this year, March of 1998, NASA announced a few months ago that it would take another year to get into the right orbit, March of 19. So one of the surprises, one of the shocking surprises of this secret meeting, and it was secret because it was very closely held by all the participants, including NASA, was that they would be in a position to begin to do mapping in this still very elliptical orbit as the spacecraft dips down to about 150 miles above Mars at the low point. The orbital dynamics will bring that orbit into position to photograph Sidonia beginning in early March of this year. Now, obviously, hearing all of this from my sources, I have, as Frankovich used to tell us, 3 sources. Well, we have 3 independent sources, so we know the meeting took place, we know the promises were made, and of course, I'm very skeptical of the promises because this agency has not got a sterling track record of being on the level of the American people. So I'm very skeptical until I hear a crucial point that comes out of this meeting. Vince DiCastro is in the meeting. Remember, Vince DiCastro is the partnership with Greg Molinaro.
Correct.
The 2 NASA engineers working for Lockheed. Back in 1979, rediscovered and they filed the space photograph and began their own independent work, and I cite voluminously their work in the Monument to Mars, which is my chronicle of all of this activity going back to the beginning. The Pietro's in the meeting. Carl Filter apparently turns to Pietro and he says, by the way, he says, if these new photographs, which are going to begin in March, confirm what is there, you will get the credit for the discovery.
Really?
Now, this piece of information, to me, has an interesting ring to it. Because for one thing, it's incredibly politics. The actual discoverer of the face on Mars is a scientist, an astronomer named Tobias Owen. Remember, it's a real monument of Toby Owen, who was pouring through the, in essence, Polaroids from Viking back in that summer of 1976, who found the face on Mars on the floor in the photographs that they were trying to mosaic, and who on that Sunday afternoon explained to Jerry Stockton, oh my God, look at this.
Sure.
So the fact that Carl Filter, head of Solar System Exploration at headquarters, is promising to Pietro that he will get the nod as the discoverer is really kind of interesting from several different perspectives, not the least of which, of course, is Vince's role in this discussion over the years and his personal reactions against certain other investigators in terms of the long-standing, unfolding politics of who is doing what and when, vis-a-vis Sidonia. And it was this piece of information that, frankly, made me believe strongly that, in fact, this time it was for real. Because, you see, NASA needs someone that they can control who politically will sit on the talk shows and on Nightline or whatever, on your show perhaps, and say what the party line is going to be after we've gone past the real or the ephemeris. The real war, the real issue, the real interest, of course, is what the heck does it mean? Who's down there? Who did it? How long do they live there? Did they come to Earth? All those questions, which I discussed at great length in Monuments and just speculating at the end of the book. Those are the questions that NASA needs to totally control the dialogue on if it's going to move to the next level in this interesting political game.
New courage, and everything else taken into consideration, no matter whose discovery it is, how likely is it, in your opinion now, Richard, that these objects, the face, the other objects in the Sidonian illusion are simply not natural, or put there by somebody?
Years ago, I passed that threshold. There's no doubt in my mind that we're dealing with an artificial complex, and one of the reasons is because of what Pathfinder found. I mean, Pathfinder landed in the middle of a second city, but that's a whole other discussion. The point is that I have tried to tell through various sources, these people in that meeting, including Tom, that don't get their hopes up. That even in promising to Pietro he'd get the nod, there was a part of me which said, wait a minute, this is not going down the way the 20 years leading up to it on mandated we should look at this. And I tried to caution them not to get their hopes up. Well, this letter from Mr. Wisnowski, the acting administrator for spaceflight,
Effectively quarantining mankind.
Exactly. It tells me that the fix is in. And what we're going to see in March, if we see anything at all, will be probably fake photographs. And they have these people now out on the stuff, and on the lecture circuit, on the internet, whatever, basically touting the honesty, the integrity of the scientific verisimilitude of NASA, which of course is part of the showcase. This is part of the con, part of the lie. We're dealing with people that think of us, the American people who are paying for it, and somewhere down on the food chain, slightly above the microbes. And there is a very strong perception tonight on my part that we are being had. That we are not being told the truth, the president on down on this issue. And if I needed any confirmation, it came when I woke poor David Oates up out of sound sleep.
What was the reference, Richard?
At the very end, the president was talking about the Constitution and the documents, preserving it for the 21st century. And he says, NASA feels lost with it.
NASA feels lost with it. That was a reversal.
That was a reversal.
All right. Hang tight. We'll be back to you after the top of the hour. Richard Steele, an excellent science award winner, is our guest. Are we quarantined on Earth? It sure sounds that way. Coast to Coast AM underway.